Namaste everybody, welcome to the YogaCandi YouTube channel. My name's Candace and today I have an all levels class which is really going to be great for those days when you feel a little tired, maybe you haven't slept well, maybe you just want something relaxing today. There'll be some nice pranayama, we're going to stretch out and do a little bit of flowing of course, but nothing strenuous. There's no need for any props today, but if you would like to, you can have a couple of blocks handy. Especially if you're more of a beginner, you may need them. So I will cue you when it's time to use them if you would like to use them. And this class is going to be one of my hybrid flows, so more of a Yin class, so a Vinyasa and Yin Yoga fusion, which I know a lot of you really enjoy, so I hope you enjoy today's flow. So we're just going to start off in a cross-legged position, sit up tall through the spine, tops of the hands to the knees or the thighs. If this position isn't comfortable, you can kneel. You can sit in any way that feels comfortable for your body. Close your eyes and let's take a moment here just to tune into the body. To become aware of the breath and how you may be feeling within. If you're a little tired, you may notice that there's a slight headache, maybe your chest is tight. Just try to relax and ease into the pose. Releasing the muscles in the face, in the shoulders, and in your legs. With a very gentle engagement of the core just to hold you in position. For those of you that know it, just start to engage your Ujjayi breath. But if you're more a beginner, just breathe deep in and out of the nostrils, filling the belly and the lungs with your air. And every exhale, just hug that belly button back, lift up through the pelvic floor. You may feel a gentle squeezing and lifting. On the exhale, release all of the air. Just breathe like this for a few breaths, eyes still closed. From here, just start to roll the head from shoulder to shoulder in semicircles to half circles. Just rolling the head down towards the chest, over to the left and then over to the right. Go as slow as you'd like to. Keeping that breath nice and deep and long throughout today's class. Coming back to center, you can open the eyes and take your stretch over towards the left. You can come all the way down to the forearm, or you can stay up on the palm. Take whatever variation works. Make sure you can still breathe deeply. If you can still breathe deeply, then you haven't gone too far, and that's where you should be. Try to keep that right sit bone on the ground. Just breathe into that right side body. And then taking it to the other side. So onto the forearm or onto the hand, wherever feels good for you today. Keeping that left sit bone on the ground. Tilt your chest to the sky, breathe deep. Coming back to the center, just take your legs out in front of you for a staff pose. So point your toes up towards the sky. You can bend your knees as much as you need to, especially if you're not very flexible. Sit up tall. If you're not very flexible, just very slightly lean forwards, close your eyes and feel through a hamstring stretch. If you're a little more flexible, take your blocks. And you can always plant them either side of the thighs, planting your elbows onto those blocks and just rest your head. Gently stretching out the lower back and through the backs of the hamstrings. Hug your belly button back. If you're more flexible, even so, you can always bring your forehead all the way down to your shins. But take it easy because we haven't warmed up through the body. If anything, hold back just a little bit, just to make sure you don't pull any muscles to begin with. That would defeat the object of today's relaxing class. Breathe deep. Keep on breathing. If you feel your body starting to open up for you, perhaps take your blocks to a lower level or just move them aside and come on down. Now point your toes instead of flexing them, and perhaps you want to, if you're more flexible, guide your toes down towards the ground. You can always rest your forehead onto a block as you guide your toes down, getting a little stretch through the tops of the shins and down the tops of the feet, an area which is quite often missed. Keeping the breath deep, staying in the moment. Really point your toes. And release, widen your legs. You don't have to take them very wide, but if you're very flexible, you can take them as wide as you like. Remember, we haven't warmed up. Take your block on the highest level or just sit up tall. You may already, as you sit up tall, feel that stretch on the inside of the thighs. So we're hitting a slightly different part of the leg here. If you're sitting up tall, find some waves with the spine. Just waving from side to side, but keep your sit bones on the ground. You can always add a bend to the knees, maybe a micro bend, maybe something a little deeper if you're really inflexible. So do what feels good for your body today. If you'd like to, you can always bring those forearms down to the ground and rest your head onto your block, maybe at the highest level, maybe at the lowest. If you're more experienced, you may be taking your forehead directly down to the ground. Just remember to listen to that body and slightly hold back while you're warming up these muscles and preparing them to go a little deeper. Make sure the knees are externally rotating slightly and your toes are facing up towards the sky. Keeping a deep breath. You can stay where you are, or you can go a little further, maybe resting your head onto a lower level of your block. Just be mindful and keep your spine nice and long. Stay with the present moment, let your thoughts pass. Taking a couple more deep breaths just like this. If you're down on your block, walk yourself up, slowly move the block aside. You can stay where you are, and I'm going to go side angle view so that you can see what I'm about to do. So you're in your wide straddle, just lift your knees, bring them back to the center of the mat so feet are hip distance, taking your hands behind you a couple of inches away from your body, with the fingers facing towards your bum, thumbs on the inside edges of the hands. We're going to inhale and lift up into a reverse tabletop. So just lift up and continue to lift those hips as high as you can. Rest your head backwards. Stay where you are. My cat is attacking my toes, so continue in your pose while I just entertain my cat for a second. Just a couple more breaths here. Try and lift your hips a little higher, stretching those shoulders. All right, lift those hips a little higher, just stretching through the shoulders. And then very slowly lower the bum first, keeping your head back. And then the very last thing to lift is your head, protecting your neck. And then let's make our way into a tabletop position. So come with hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhale, you're going to drop your belly and look up for our cat-cow. Exhale, tuck the chin and the tailbone, arching the spine, pushing the shoulder blades apart. 2 more, just like that. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, arch. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, arch. and back to a neutral tabletop. From your tabletop, we're going to move the hands further forward and make our way into our first downward facing dog, just pedaling out the legs. It's okay if your knees need to be bent in your down dog. With time, maybe they will straighten. And if your heels don't quite touch just yet, they'll get there maybe with time. Focus on externally rotating your shoulder blades as if you're trying to get your armpits to look at each other. Feet are hip distance apart, knees are turned inwards, almost as if they're looking at each other. Look beyond the legs, just between the legs. Start to step this left leg on the opposite side of the right and bend the right leg, taking a stretch of that left side body. And then swap sides back to a neutral down dog. Right leg goes the opposite side of the left foot, stretching out the right side body. Continue this at your own pace, taking 3 each side. Try to keep your shoulders in line with each other. So your shoulders stay where they are. It's just the bottom part of the body that's twisting here. Back to center. Walk your feet forwards between your palms. Bend your legs if needed. And we're going to come into a forward fold. Hang heavy like a rag doll. Big toes touch, heels a few inches apart. Hold on to each elbow and just hang heavy. And then inhale, hands to shins, half lift, look forwards. And fold. 2 more, just like that. Inhale, halfway lift, look forwards. And fold. 1 more. Half lift. And fold. Coming all the way down onto your bum. And we're going to take another reverse tabletop, feet hip distance, hands a few inches away from the bum. Fingertips facing the toes. Inhale, lift the hips, look up, and then gently allow your head to rest back. Stretching those shoulders, squeezing the glutes as high as you can get the hips. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And slowly, slowly lower the bum down. Coming back up, release the head and the shoulders. Just find some neck rolls from shoulder to shoulder. Coming back into a standing forward fold, feet hip distance this time. Fold. Take a look at the ground, plant your fingertips and walk your feet as wide as your mat. Heels facing outwards and toes off of the mat. You're going to sink your bum down for a yogi squat. You can always use a block here, sitting on your block at its highest level. May be easier if you have quite tight hips. Just concentrate on opening the knees, so you're opening the knees as wide as you can. Or you can sink your hips all the way down, so you're almost touching the ground, not quite. And use your elbows to push your knees apart with your hands at your heart center in prayer in your Yogi Squat. If you're not using a block, you may want to just rock from side to side gently. Maybe you want to be still. Just listen to your body. Sitting up tall through the spine. Lift up through the pelvic floor by gently hugging your stomach back towards the spine. Breath nice and deep through the nose if possible. Plant your hands back down and step the right foot backwards, so you're in like a runner's lunge. Have your left toes facing forwards but on the outside edge of your left hand. So you're in your runner's lunge. Just find a little bounce, stretching through the psoas muscle on the right side. And then slowly bring that left knee down to the mat. The closer the back, the right knee is to the front heel, the easier the stretch will be. So we're in like a lizard stretch. Just stay up tall, press through the shoulder blades. Hug the belly button back and just allow your hips to sink really low, getting deep into that psoas. From here, come up off of the knee, plant your back toes onto the ground so that the toes are facing the long edge of the mat. So your foot's parallel to the back edge of the mat here. Walk your hands almost to the center and then bring your front toes forward so they're parallel to the front of the mat. So now we're going to come on down for Skandasana, side lunge. Allow your hips to sink down towards the ground, but keep your bum lifted. Hands to your heart center in prayer and just using that left arm to press that left hip a little more open. Have your right toes facing the sky, engaging the foot, and this is a nice deep stretch on the inner thighs. If this is not possible for you, use a block. Come on up onto your block with your hands and just plant those toes on the ground if that's more comfortable, or lift them. Just taking a little stretch here. Then everybody come on up a little bit, start to straighten both legs, move your block towards the right toes and start to sink the hips into your Skandasana on the opposite side. So you can move your block aside, plant your hands, sink the hips, using this right arm to press the right hip a little deeper open. And then from here we're going to transition into our lizard pose on the right side. So we've done the left. So from here, start to slightly lift the hips. Bring your hands to face the opposite edge of your mat and walk those right toes on the outside edge of the right palms, hands or shoulder distance. Your back leg is extended, toes on the ground, into a runner's lunge to begin with, and find maybe a little bounce. Press up out of the shoulder blades here. And then from here, very slowly lower the back knee. Remember, back knee closer to the front foot will make the stretch less intense for you. So if you're not as flexible, just guide that back knee a little closer to the front foot to make the stretch a little less intense. And you can also come up onto your blocks with your palms. So just stay here, hug your belly button back, continue to breathe deeply. From here, guide your right leg, your foot off of the ground, bring it to meet the left knee, and come on back for a child's pose. So your knees can be touching, or you can take a wide-legged child's pose for more hip opening. So whichever is more comfortable for your body. If your knees are together, then just bring your arms either side of your legs and rest down and breathe deep. Or you can have your toes touching, open the knees wider than your mat, extend your arms and bring your full head down to the ground for a wide-legged child's pose with a little hip opener as well. Breathe deep and completely sink into your child's pose. If you're more of a beginner, just stay breathing deep in your child's pose. If you're a little more experienced, you can always throw in a frog pose here by opening your knees out and making sure that your knees are in line with each other and your heels are in line with your knees. So you've got your feet on the knife edge against the floor. You can stay up on your forearms and maybe find a rocking motion. This is quite an intense hip opener, so if this is not something you've ever tried, or if you're a beginner, please just hold back and stay in your wide-legged child's pose or a normal child's pose. Totally up to you. If your body's ready for it, you can come all the way down to your tummy in your full frog pose, resting on your chest. Open your arms into a cactus position. Just let the hips open up and sink low. Wherever you are, just take another couple of deep breaths. And then everybody, push yourself up and back. If you're in frog, bring yourself into a kneeling position. I'm just going to face you, so you're in a kneeling position. Just rest down onto your heels, toes untucked. We're going to take a twist, just a little bit of yoga for the feet as well as a lovely bit of twist for the spine. So inhale your arms to the sky, look up and twist over towards the right or the left, it doesn't matter. We're going to swap sides anyway. Maybe you can take a grip of your top with this right hand or the left hand, whichever way you're twisting. Or maybe you could take a grip of the hip or the thigh. With every exhale, just see if you can go a little bit deeper. Holding with the opposite arm onto the opposite leg. Sit up tall, shoulders away from the ears. Breath is deep. Start to slightly drop your chin towards your right shoulder. If you're twisting over to the right, if you're twisting to the left, drop it towards the left shoulder. Just getting a little deeper stretch through the back of that shoulder at the front. You may notice that your feet are really feeling it now. So we're going to slowly guide the head back to center, back to face forwards. Gently release out of the twist, nice and slow. Give your shoulders a little roll. In one direction, then in the other. Alright, come up off the heels and just smack your feet against the ground, waking up through the feet. Give them a little circle of the ankles as well, in one direction, then in the other. And I'm going to turn to the side, staying in your kneeling position, feet together. This time tuck the toes. So you want to make sure you guide your baby toe out. Just bring it out so you're on all of the tips of the toes. Sit back on the heels. This can be quite intense, so just sit in any position at any point you need to. We're going to twist to the other side. Inhale, arms to the sky. If you're following me, twist to the left. So that right hand grabs the left thigh. And use the left hand to grab your top or your hip bone, if possible. And look behind you, taking a lovely twist. Breathe deep. This can be quite intense on the toes and also on the neck and through the shoulders. But keep the breath deep. Couple more deep breaths, and then we're going to start to tilt the head down towards the shoulder just a little bit. Just as if you're looking down at the ground a little bit. You can keep the eyes closed. Feeling that stretch down the right shoulder blade. And then from here, slowly lift the head back to neutral, take it to face forwards, and gently come out of your twist. Release the legs, so come on down to your bum into a comfortable seat. Extend your legs out in front of you into a sort of staff pose. And let's just roll the ankles in one direction. And then you can roll them in the opposite direction as well. Just releasing those ankles after resting onto them. Sorry about my cats today, although they're absolutely delicious. We've actually just adopted these two. They're 1.5 years, so they're just gorgeous. And they don't want to leave me alone, which is wonderful. So I hope you don't mind. Okay, and then let's come into a comfortable seat, any seat of your choice. We're going to close off the class with a little meditation and also a little bit of breath work. So today we've actually done humming bee breath together before. So we're going to do humming bee breath together again today. So if you're feeling a little foggy brained and you just want to add a little bit of clarity to the mind, then humming bee breath is an absolutely wonderful one to do. So I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to take 10 breaths or so together. You can take as little as 5, that's fine, just to get used to it. But if you want to, you can join me for 10. It is a strange breath. If it's your first time doing it, you may think, I look really strange, what am I doing? But trust me, trust the process. Once you've done the breath, you will feel really light and it will feel lovely. So let me just show you the first one. Taking your index and middle finger together, keep them together. We're going to be placing those over the eyelids, but very, very gently, literally just to keep your eyelids closed. So put no pressure at all. Otherwise your eyesight will be very strange afterwards. And then we're going to use our thumbs to block our ears so that we can't really hear any outside noises. And then you're going to make a B sound. So you're going to make a humming sound with your throat. You just, on the X, you're going to take big inhales. And on the exhale, you go, and you're going to exhale all of the air out and humming as you do so. So we're going to take 10 of those together. We'll do the first one together and then just take it in your own time. You may finish the breaths before I do, and that's okay too, or you may take longer to finish your breaths. So 10 humming bee breaths. Let's begin. Covering the eyelids, barely at all, blocking the ears, and let's begin. Big inhale. Exhale, hum. That's one. Keep going. Release your hands. Take them to your knees, keeping the eyes closed just for a moment. Breathe naturally. You may notice a little lightness to your body, and certainly within the mind and the head. With the eyes still closed, let's swap feet. So whichever position you were sat in, just swap the opposite foot forward. Let's give the shoulders a little roll, and then just finding those little half circle neck rolls from shoulder to shoulder once again. Back to a neutral spine, taking a moment here. Tops of the hands to the legs. Breathe naturally, relax the shoulders and the face, taking a moment just to appreciate the life that we have running through our body. Taking this moment to appreciate that we have a body that's capable of practicing yoga, the physical side of yoga. Being grateful for the breath. Just taking a moment to enjoy that feeling of air and oxygen coming through our nose and into our bellies. Taking a moment to appreciate everything around you, what we have, technology that has brought us here today together. And then just take a complete appreciation for the family and friends you have in your life and the animals you love. And then from here, just inhale your arms up to the sky, allow them to touch. Draw your face to the sky and then bring your arms back to your heart center in prayer. Maybe set an intention for the rest of your day ahead. Bow your head. I thank you all so much for joining me today. You can open your eyes. Namaste everyone. I hope that class felt wonderful. I hope it's brought a little bit of life back into your body, especially if you were very tired and fatigued, and also just wonderful if you're feeling stressed with work or whatever it may be. Maybe you're feeling stressed in your mum life even, or your parenting life. It's not easy having a toddler. I've got one myself, so I do know how that feels too. So I really hope that this feeling you've got right now, you can continue for the next few hours, or perhaps even for the rest of the day. Just keep reminding yourself today of all the amazing things that we have to be grateful for, including the internet, including social media, that we are able to practice like this together, even though we live on totally different parts of the world. In fact, on that note, please let me know in the comments below where you're practicing from. I absolutely love seeing that. If you're on holiday, let me know where you're on holiday, where you're practicing from. And guys, do let me know how you enjoyed this class, how it made you feel. And yes, until next time. Obviously, please do let me know any requests you may have. I do love to jot them down and try to incorporate them into future classes as well. And if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook, you can find me on there. So please do follow me on there and we can connect a little deeper. I'm not the best on social media, I'm not going to lie, but perhaps it'll pick up when my little man gets a bit older. So I do manage to keep some stories going to keep you up to date with new classes. So do find me on there. Okay, until next time, have a lovely day. Bye everyone.